right, what is good? What is happening? How's everyone doing today? My name is Chuck, and welcome back to a brand new video. All right, today, fellas, we're jumping into my top 5 SMGs y'all should be using here in Season 2. As with every single season, there's always a meta shift. Stuff always changes, and today's video, we're going to be jumping into specifically what are the best SMGs you guys should be using here right now. Obviously, we all know there's been some real dominant ones like that PPSH when it was a hipfire build. They kind of nerfed it a little bit, but it's still really, really good. Apart from that, y'all know there's a lot of really good SMGs out there right now, so let's give you guys the top 5 ones you guys should be using. But before we get into that, if you guys could do me a favor real quick and break 623 likes in 24 hours, that'd be incredible. Also, subscribe, all notifications turned on. I'm closing in on 800,000 subscribers and literally 8,000 off, so hit that sub button. That being said, let's hop right into this. Okay, so the first gonna be hopping into is gonna be the Weld gun. The Weld gun's actually one of my personal favorite SMGs to use right now here in Warzone. Absolutely love the Weld gun. It's just really solid, and it's probably one of the top number 1 to number 2 SMGs out there right now. So let's give you guys a banger build here for this thing. First thing on this, of course, when we get into that muzzle category, we're gonna go for the recoil booster. This can help increase our TTK, or basically make it so we kill people obviously faster in game, right? You know what I'm saying? A lot faster. So the recoil booster is the way to go. We always use that pretty much on the Vanguard SMGs. After that, in the barrel section, we run the 320mm SA shrouded barrel. This is gonna help make it more controllable. Basically, it's kind of like a task force style barrel. It makes it a lot easier to control the recoil on this gun because it can bounce around a little bit. That's that. In the barrel section, we got the M1941 hand stop. Gotta love this thing. Really good for that recoil control and accuracy. You don't really hip fire with this thing too much, so we don't really worry a lot about that, but the hip fire is still pretty decent on this thing. After that, in the magazine section, we got the 7.62 Gorenko 40 round mag. Recoil control and accuracy, movement speed, and of course that beautiful fire rate increase. This does negatively affect some of the key traits of an SMG or any gun in the game, but the Gorenko is just kind of the way to go. Y'all should know if you've used it, or if you ever picked it up off the ground loot, that it's really good with this magazine, and also that the 64 round, it can for sure be used, but the Gorenko is definitely the way to go. After that, in the ammunition side of things, you're running hollow point here. This is going to help increase our limb damage. Incendiary rounds, I would say to stay away from these at any point in time because they got nerfed. It actually decreases your overall damage by 10+%, and that was definitely not the case before the patch. So make sure y'all are running hollow point and not incendiary. You're going to be probably feeling like you're getting way too many hit markers with incendiary on. So hollow point's just the way to go. After that, in the rear grip section, we got the fabric grip on here for that increased ADS speed, sprint to fire, and hip fire accuracy, and which is really good for overall mobility. After that, in the optics section, we got the slate reflector here. I really like the slate reflector as opposed to the iron sights or even the Night Arm Model 47. It just kind of comes down to, I guess, a little bit personal preference in this. I mean, you're going to get probably a little bit of ADS speed by using the iron sights wherever those things are. Whatever it is, I mean, you're gonna get, here's the iron sights, you're gonna get a little bit ADS speed, but overall, I think having the slate reflector on here, it just makes it so much more clear and easier to use. So that's why I'm gonna go with that thing. After that, in the stock section, we have the Gawain Skeletal. You can use this or the SA43 folding. It's kind of between the two. I've had great success using both of them, so just kind of play around with both and see what works for you between the skeletal or the folding. It works out fantastically, to be honest with you. And then for our final stuff, we have the perks of Acrobatic for movement speed and sprinting move speed, making us, of course, a little bit faster. And then in perk 2, we have Quick here for overall sprint speed. And this is my full build here for this gun. Hopefully y'all enjoy this one. By the way, this is the Atlanta Phase CDL camo. I tend to use the CDL camos on a lot of my guns right now because there's not a lot of good camos for these Vanguard weapons, and also the variants just kind of suck. So that's the reason you see a lot of CDL camos. All right, next up, we're gonna give you guys a build here for the Owen gun. The Owen gun is another top tier secondary you guys for 100% should be using, 100% for certain should be using. I think that's what I meant to say there originally, but this is a really good gun out there. I think y'all really gonna like this one. It's got a bit of that magazine, which kind of sometimes can get your way, but as long as you can get around that, you're gonna be dominating Warzone here with this build. So let's hop into this thing. First thing, of course, in the muzzle category is gonna be that beautiful recoil booster. Gotta love this, increase that fire rate. After that, in the barrel section, we got the Hawkinson 305mm precision barrel. This is gonna help us out with our recoil control. I have seen some other people run the rapid barrel or anything else like that, but to be honest with you guys, I do prefer to run the Hawkinson. It tends to make this gun a lot more accurate, and I prefer that. After that, in the underbarrel section, we got the Mark V Eye Skeletal to increase our ADS speed. I think this actually works out pretty nicely, but if you feel like maybe there's a little bit too much recoil or something like that, maybe run the M1941 hand stop, as that's going to work out beautifully as well. So kind of switch between the two of these, see what kind of works out best for you, but for me, it's going to be the skeletal grip. That's that in the magazine section. We're in the 7.62 Gorenko 72 round drum. This is going to be kind of similar in terms of what we did with the Weld gun. The Weld gun performs really nicely with the Gorenko mag, and same with this gun. So I'd recommend for y'all to run this, though you really can't go too wrong, but run even just a regular 9mm magazine. So I mean, I prefer to run the Gorenko. This is kind of how it is. After that, in the ammunition side of things, we got the frangible bullets. This is going to inflict a wounding effect, hitting enemy legs slows movement. This is going to prevent people from running away from you. If you shoot, you know, at them like maybe once or something like that, you can actually slow down their movement, and you will notice it in game. You're like, why can't I move? It's because someone actually hits you with frangible bullets. It's actually really annoying to get hit by. So, I mean, that's just because it's really effective. After that, in the rear grip section, we have the fabric grip here, ADS speed, sprint to fire, and hip fire accuracy. Gotta love that. I mean, it's very, very easy to be able to use the fabric grip here on this thing. I really like it. I think it's just gonna be the best one out there. After that, in the optics section, we got the slate reflector. Though I will say I have seen some people, you know, try to use the recommendation of what is it, the slate 2.5 times, because you can flip it down to the general like 1.35 times magnification. It actually kind of puts you above the gun, and what that does is that eliminates having that magazine in your way. So while that can be really beneficial, I personally am not that big of a fan of the way your gun actually looks and performs. I feel like it's a little bit slower on the ADS speed side of things, so I prefer to go with the slate reflector or the Night Arm Model 47. Both of those work fine. You just, of course, have to deal with a little bit of magazine in your way. That's at the stock section. We got the remove stock here for movement speed, ADS speed, sprint to fire, and aim walking. Movement speed, this is gonna be the best one out there in terms of mobility. That's what we're trying to do with this gun, make it so we have peak mobility, and the remove stock is gonna be the way to go. That's at in the perk section here, we have acrobatic to increase our overall move speed. This is really good because you're gonna be using your SMG to move around the map to traverse it here more efficiently. That's the reason you pull out your SMG, or you see top players do that. It's just to move faster. And then overall perk 2 for quick here to increase our sprint speed, which is definitely a good thing. So this is my full build here for this gun. Hope y'all enjoy this one. Absolutely love this thing. This, of course, has the optic CDL camo on it. For you guys who are looking for these camos, since I didn't say in the last gun, they are going to be in the franchise store on the game. You can find them, buy them, and it's going to look really, really good. You can also put them on your Modern Warfare guns too, but you have to go in multiplayer to do that. It's a whole process. All right, this next gun here is going to boggle your guys' minds. This is the Modern Warfare AUG, and this thing, I will tell you what, it is criminally underrated. Because it's got a great TTK. It doesn't have like the craziest amount of strafe speed, but we're not necessarily in like the Cold War, you know, SMG meta where that was like a huge thing with mass amounts of strafe speed. The Vanguard weapons are kind of more in line with the Modern Warfare stuff, and as a result, a lot of the Modern Warfare stuff has kind of taken to light once again. But this gun's really good, so let's give you guys a build for the Modern Warfare AUG that I think you seriously should be trying out. Not enough people use this thing, and it's really good. Okay, so first thing on this gun, we're gonna be using the monolithic suppressor here. Of course, we have to use the mono. That's just the way to go for all the Modern Warfare guns. Doesn't matter if it's an AR, SMG, LMG, that's just the way to go. Always use the mono. After that, skip the barrel section, go into that beautiful laser, and we're going to equip the tac laser here for ADS speed, aiming stability, and aim walking steadiness. I know equipping a barrel or just skipping the barrel section is a little bit crazy, but trust me, this has been like Jay got tested and approved. Like, I was in game with him when we were figuring this out initially. Like, you know, this is what it is. Like, it's really good. After that, in the magazine section, we're going straight down here to the 5.56 NATO. And this is what's going to make this thing really good, is because this increases your damage, your range, and of course, that beautiful magazine ammo capacity. You can run the 30-round magazine on this thing, but you for sure 100% need to be running the NATO rounds. This is what makes this thing really good. So always run the NATO rounds. Don't ever run this like shenanigans 32-round mag. Like, I don't know what this is. Like, get away from that. So stay either to the 5.5630 or the 60 round. I'm a 60 round magazine kind of guy though. Gotta throw that in there. This is just kind of like what I'd be doing though. After that, in the rear grip section, stipple grip tape, your ADS speed, sprint to fire. Y'all know how it is. We always run that stipple on this thing. Gotta increase our overall mobility here, and that's just kind of what we do. And then to finish off this whole build here in the stock section, we got the Forge Tac CQB comb for that increased ADS speed. We love to see this thing. Overall, this is an absolute banger of a setup here on this gun. We love the Modern Warfare AUG. It don't be getting used much, but I'm telling you, you will be getting called like a hacker or something when you use this thing, because people made me really question why they're getting deleted so fast, because it don't make a lot of sense. All right, so for our fourth gun here on this top 5, that is going to be the Modern Warfare MP5. I be fuming around Warzone. Like, I be running around with this thing pretty crazy. I be going a little bit nuts, a little bananas, because the movement speed on this thing is just kind of disgusting. It's really good. And you can be, you know, dipping around people. It's pretty nuts. I love this thing. So let's give y'all a great setup here that you're going to be able to just run around Warzone and absolutely shred people with. It's going to be a lot of fun. First thing on this, of course, it could be that muzzle agency suppressor. We have to run the agency on this thing just because, I mean, it's going to have a little bit of recoil. Want to be able to mitigate that as much as possible. So the sound suppressor is not going to be the way to go. Don't use the sound suppressor on this gun. It's just not it. So always run the agency. Add that, skip the barrel, go straight to that laser, go for that beautiful Tiger Team spotlight, movement speed, aim locking, movement speed. Y'all already know how it is. We always be running the Tiger Team on this bad boy. That's just the way to go. After that, we go to the underbarrel section, increase our movement speed further by increasing it with that bruiser grip here, movement speed and hipfire accuracy. Gotta love having a little bit of hipfire accuracy on this gun. It's pretty nice to be able to pop a few shots into somebody before you get fully ADS. This is going to make it just a little bit easier for that. After that, the magazine section, the Stenag 50 round drum, though you can for sure run the Salvo 50 round fast mag, as this is going to be pretty effective as well. But overall, the Stenag 50 round drum is kind of what I run with, and I think that's going to be pretty solid. And then for our final attachment here, that beautiful Raider stock ADS fire move speed, aim, walking movement speed, and sprint to fire time. Gotta love this thing. I mean, listen, this MP5 right here, the Cold War MP5, even the Modern Warfare MP5 is really not bad at all either. But the Cold War one just edges it out on top a little bit just because that movement capability makes it a little bit easier to use. So definitely give this one a shot right here. Really solid gun. Okay, now for our final gun of this top 5, I want to make sure I got all 3 games or the guns in here, and I had to show you guys the Fennec. So this thing has an unbelievably fast TTK, and I don't see hardly anybody out there using this thing, and I have to go get a gameplay with this thing just because, like, it's really good. I just don't ever like use it, nor does really a lot of other people, but it's got a great TTK, and I think y'all should definitely be checking this one out. So let's hop into a build here for it. First thing, we gotta skip that muzzle, go straight to the barrel, and we're gonna get an integrated silencer here with the ZLR 18 deadfall barrel. Damage range, recoil control, bullet velocity, sound suppression. I mean, like, what can you go wrong with there? I mean, this is overall gonna be fantastic. We're kind of getting that nice little 2-for-1 type of deal here. Otherwise, we'd have to go for a barrel and a suppressor, but I do think that overall having something else here a little bit later on, which I'll tell you guys about, is gonna be way more beneficial. So that's why we're running the deadfall on this thing. That's that. We're going skipping the underbarrel, going straight for the magazine. We're in the 40 round drum mag here for increased ammo capacity. I mean, I really wish this had like 45, 50, something like that. But 40 is going to be, I guess, okay enough because the fire rate on this thing is a little bit ridiculous. It's pretty high. After that, in the rear grip section, we got the stipple grip tape here to increase our ADS speed and our sprint to fire speed. Overall, this can be really solid. Don't really worry about that aiming stability. You're not really going to feel this too much, as this is going to be like a super close quarters gun. I mean, you're not using this at, like, you know, far ranges. This is not like anywhere close to like sniper support. This is a true close quarters secondary that you're going to use at very close range. And that's pretty much about it. After that, we're going to go to the stock section. We're running the no stock here for movement speed and ADS speed. Overall, I like having a lot of mobility, and you have to kind of run this in order to keep up with some of the other SMGs in the game. And then for a final thing here, what we are using, that initial attachment that would be in the muzzle, but since we're getting that 2-for-1, we're throwing it down here for sleight of hand, because the reload speed on this thing is what really does kind of like set it back as a like not a very viable gun. So you have to run sleight of hand on this thing to be able to compete with everything else in the game. So that's the reason we're doing this. I've thought this one through. I've used it definitely way beforehand, and it's still really good. So really go ahead and try this setup out here for it. This is gonna be my top 5 SMGs y'all should be using. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe if you are brand new, and just run on triple cap, don't be Randy, and I'm out. Peace.